Should I have it in the picture? Is that a good effect or what?
I think it's personal preference, whatever works for you.
It doesn't matter so much to me. I only have so much room on this Veridesk.
Mm-hmm. All right, you ready to talk about your third property?
Let's do it.
What was the address of your third purchase?
The address of our third purchase was 74 North Allen Street in the Pine Hills neighborhood of Albany. It's right
What
outside there.
attracted you to that address, that location?
That location was attractive to us because our second property we purchased was in that same neighborhood. So fortunately, 5 houses down from the second purchase, opportunity number 3 came about.
And how long after the second purchase was this?
Probably 8-9 months, something like that. At that point, I was hoping to get a little bit more momentum to buy more than one property a year. So at that point, we were on the search, and it's good timing after the second one to really see what was available on the market, and then that one came available and got a fair deal.
And this was the third duplex in a row. This was also a two unit, 2-family.
Yeah, another 2-family. So the first 2 were that typical 3-bedroom, 1-bath, up and down style 2-family. So you have a 3-bedroom on the first floor, 3-bedroom on the second floor. This one differed a bit where you had a 2-bedroom on the first floor and then a 2-floor, 3 to 4 bedroom on the upper level. So it was 3 to 4 bedroom, depending on how you wanted to situate the rooms, whether you wanted to have additional living space or take one of those living areas and turn it into a bedroom.
How'd you find this one? Was it on the MLS? Were you a realtor at this time?
I wasn't a realtor at this time. This was 1995. And I became a realtor in 97. So at this point, I was being fed listings through a couple of real estate agents, knowing that I was an investor, beginning investor, looking for 2 families, and hit the market. And day one, I was there.
And so you said you were looking for more than one a year. Did you have a big goal, like a certain number that you wanted, or was it just we'll get what we can when the time's right?
Yeah, that's basically it. It was knowing that the first 2 were going well. They were full. We were operating as we, as well as we could for being completely beginners at the time. So I was on the search right after the second. So I had my, at the time, probably 2-3 year type goals, to accumulate a certain amount. But at this point, it was always searching. And then when that next deal comes up, grab it. And, basically just trying to get some traction.
Mm-hmm. Take us through the purchase. So you got it. And then what?
We got this one for a pretty fair price. At this point in my career, it was more of, if the property fit the neighborhood, which it did, it was, okay, how good of a price can I get on this? So my major negotiating style at this point was just making low offers. So I believe it was listed probably, for like 105,000 at the time. And I came in, my typical, 20% or so under market value. So I think we offered, 83,000 and made a deal at 87,500. And this one was attractive because the sellers bought this property in major disrepair. I believe there was a fire and it had to get completely gutted and rebuilt. So ultimately we were buying a 2-family that was new on the inside. So yeah, it had a 80-year-old frame, but the whole interior was new, everything, plumbing, wiring, sheetrock, fixtures.
There's no value add opportunity. Had you put in a number of offers before this one went through in between the second and third purchase?
Yes, I remember two. There may have been more. Here we are. Really having to jog some memory from that long ago. But I remember a property on 611. It's funny. I remember the address on this one. Probably I think both 611 Myrtle Avenue. Maybe not 611. Shoot. Well, I guess I can't remember that. But there was a two-family on Myrtle Avenue, similar to the second property that we purchased. Three-bedroom flats, 80, 90-year-old property. Didn't make a deal. I went in, offered low, couldn't come to a meeting of the minds. And then there was another one on Hamilton Street, more in the student area, near that intersection of Madison and Ontario in Albany. And we couldn't make a deal on that one either, using the same method, like the property. I saw how we could make it work, but I came in with my low ball and didn't make a deal there either. And shortly after, I believe I found this one.
So you're submitting lowball offers. One finally gets accepted. What happens next? You own the property. Then what?
We own the property, and then it was occupied. So, fortunately, just a matter of meeting the tenants and getting on the same page. Once again, still really trying to gain knowledge of the property management business. In this case, the first floor tenant was a single woman, probably at the time in her 40s, working for the state of New York downtown. And the second floor were young professionals, nice guys. So you had three guys upstairs living in that 3 to 4 bedroom. So we just ran it for that first probably close to a year. Until that second floor unit turned over. And being completely remodeled building when we bought it, it was probably a simple turnover at that point. First tenant moved out. They were good tenants. They cleaned up as they should. And we probably just had to go in there and put some paint on the walls, minor cleaning, and off to the next tenant.
So you rented it right away after that first tenant moved out. How was your overall financial picture looking at this point? You have 3 buildings, 6 units. Were you guys cash flowing and starting to see some success with all this work you're putting in?
Yeah, we were seeing some success. It was a modest cash flow, but when you're buying 2-family properties, on the retail market off the multiple listing service, I was getting as good of deals as I possibly could. So operating, if I remember correctly, probably like 300 to 500 a month cash flows on these 2 families. So the first one we were cash flowing around that number. Second property we lived in, so we rented the second unit to friends. That worked out, and we also had an extra bedroom. So myself and my partner, Greg, occupied 2 of the 3 bedrooms of the first floor, rented the third bedroom to a friend. So that was kind of like bonus income. So you're, getting an extra $300 or $400 there. And with both of us having full-time jobs and the property's cash flowing, you could see our bank account grow slowly but surely over that period of time, which enabled us to, have, some money in the bank, when we made this third purchase.
Mm-hmm. And that's when you really get excited about the future and you start seeing it pay off. How long did you hold this third property? Because I remember you mentioned that you wanted to portfolio these houses and not just flip them.
We still own it. So it's been 25 years, going on 26 years on this property. It's done very, very well. It's in that neighborhood that we became very comfortable with and continued to be comfortable with because, North Allen Street of the Pine Hills neighborhood of Albany, right outside of St. Rose College, we ended up building a pretty big presence. At one point, we probably had 13 or 14 properties just on, 2 or 3 blocks in that vicinity.
Okay, so it must have gone pretty well if you've held it this long. Has there been anything that's been memorable from that first year you told us about up until now? It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a long ride there. So we ultimately moved into that property. Probably we may have moved in right after the first tenant moved out. So we went from the second purchase on 847 J Street and moved into that second and third floor unit at 74 North Allen Street. So, we were young guys at the time and enjoying the city of Albany, the nightlife down the road, and, got to know our first floor tenant rather well, based on living right above her. So it was interesting at that point because, she had to remind us of being courteous to the neighbors. So here we are as the owners of the building, seeing that we had to be responsible enough to keep our first floor tenant comfortable and not come home late at night making unnecessary noise and things like that. As things progress and you fast forward and 15 years into that property, that first floor tenant was still there. Unfortunately, her life had changed drastically. We saw her go from a very well kept apartment to she started really collecting items. In all reality, was beginning stages of hoarding. And we had several challenges over those next probably 6, 7, 8 years because the city of Albany has residential occupancy permit inspections. So when they inspect units like this, they have concerns about fires. So when people are hoarding, you have issues. If a fire ever happened, it's a powder keg. And also escape routes were an issue for the city. So there was probably 2 or 3 inspections over a 7, 8 year period of time where she really had to improve on her apartment so the city was comfortable enough for her to stay. And we had those ups and downs with her up until today. So we had decided to sell this property along with a lot of our other small properties over the past year and a half. We have been unable to sell this one because this tenant continues to pay rent, but we didn't renew her lease well over a year ago, but she just hasn't been able to leave. So, I'm sure that there's a variety of reasons or a variety of excuses that she may be able to explain. But bottom line, we are very close for her leaving. Unfortunately, we had to go to, Albany City Court and do it that way.
I'm thinking about how difficult that must be because you lived with her. So she was a tenant, but it was also someone that shared a home with you, and you've known her for so long.
It was interesting because the relationship went from us being young kids, and we kind of looked at her as the adult, when we were doing what young kids do in their 20s, just enjoying nightlife and such. And then the relationship evolved as we got older and more astute in the business world. And unfortunately, her life started going in another direction. And it was probably up until, we started having these challenges with her over the past 7 or 8 years. At that point, we were attempting to help her as much as we could, realizing that she needed help. That she was having issues with not only her housekeeping, but, her health. So I think she had been diagnosed with certain illnesses that she had gotten past over the years. And, she was a heavy smoker, and, just getting to the point where basically, she has issues mentally, physically, emotionally, right across the board. So I did what I could with the tools that I have, which are limited. I built up a substantial amount of tools in the property management landlord world, but very limited on being able to help somebody who was becoming an advanced situation as far as the help that she needed. So right up until now, I offered her help last week, which it went, the message went unreturned. Just getting her stuff out of the apartment. We'll be happy to make that happen for her, at no cost. Do whatever we can for her. But unfortunately, like I think a lot of people who have certain issues, they don't take advantage of people trying to help them. And it's difficult for me to explain any further. It's issues that are difficult to solve.
But it sounds like this property and this tenant in particular taught you a lot about property management skills you're able to use throughout your career.
Yeah, considering, I felt like I've been dealing with 3 different people along the way, through stages of life. Not only her stages of life, but our stages of life. We went from 23-year-old guys at the time when we met her and lived above her, to at this point, just turned 50, so everyone's lives change quite a bit along the way. And we learned a lot from her. We've had probably, in all reality, managing and owning about 240 units, over this time. That we've had other people to deal with that had certain similar situations that she did. So you try to handle things similarly once you see ways that are successful with certain issues on the landlording end, how to handle things, so we could get the result out of the situation we wanted or what we expected, because you have to operate these properties with a certain standard. And we learned a lot from her life changes. And and a whole nother dynamic on the second floor unit, it was more of tenants coming and going. So some tenants would stay for a year, some tenants would be there 4 or 5 years, but it was more of the normal tenancies, some better than others, rent collection, different things. No, it's what every landlord deals with, nothing major, but just landlording 101 stuff.
And when you're putting that offer in on the property, you have no idea what's going to happen over the next 30 years.
Oh no,
stuff that you can't script yourself.
No, you don't. It's that's where the building up the business over 20-25 years is so valuable, because it's that experience. So when you are just getting started, the books that you read only explain so much in those pages. Nothing replaces the hands-on real life experiences of a landlord.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a pretty unique purchase for you. Was there one thing that you took away from it in particular that really helped you the rest of your career?
One thing that really helped us with the rest of our career, right off the bat, seeing how the person we bought it from was able to take advantage of a distressed property, rebuild it, and sell it. I don't know what their end game was with how much they had to put into it, to see what the math turned out on how much money they were able to make on that type of a project, because for them it was a quick flip. But my learning curve there was my fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth purchases were all okay. Now we're going to look for distressed property under market value that we can put money into and create instant equity by, doing the work, putting in some sweat equity and buying properties low, value add, and instant equity.
So that got the gears turning.
Yeah, that did. So, I guess you can say, every property learn something different. And in all reality, the goal is, to learn something new to use on those next purchases as you build a portfolio.
So you started as an investor and then you became a manager naturally. And now at this point, you're looking to be a regular handyman and fix and flip some properties. Is that how it happened?
Yeah, that's how that happened. It was not knowing anything about the construction business to, when tenants move out, the simple tasks of, painting, cleaning, which, I did plenty of painting and cleaning growing up. So there was no learning curve there. But you go from being an average painter to a really good painter, and realizing what our standard of turning over apartments was, because, we have to get that, to the next tenant's expectation. So that was a learning curve over time, because well past this property, we had to develop, a system to get every turned over apartment to a certain standard.
How were you able to contract work when you were first starting? You were kind of new to the area, the downtown Albany area, and you were new to the business. There wasn't Google at the time. So how did you find people to help you get things done?
Word of mouth normally. You're trying to think back. I believe it was, basically, who do we know? So, I'm a waiter at night. I had a friend who actually, referred that book to me originally, that got me excited about real estate. So I probably leaned on him here and there, when I had issues that I needed some skilled work done. I may have asked him for referrals from people that he may have been using. My partner, Greg, at the time worked for the, Clifton Park Water Authority, which, is just, 20 minutes north of Albany. And, basically working at a water authority, his peers at his workplace, had plumbing knowledge and some electrical knowledge. They're more of, guys that work with their hands that work in that environment. So they, I believe, helped us a bit. So it was just a matter of, when things come up, saying, okay, what do we, you just have to find who you need to find to solve your issues.
Yep. And then on the fourth property, the next one we're going to discuss, that one is your first fixer upper.
Sure was. Yeah, that was, a single family flipper, single family, buy low, put some money into, and get that instant equity. And even but though it's a single family, the plan was to, just continue to build that portfolio.
All right. Well, I'm excited to hear more about it.
Sounds great. Thanks, Stephen.
Thanks, Bill.
All right.